Lifebrary, a podcast dedicated to your personal story. A story which is not merely a collection of events, but a powerful chronicle that encapsulates the essence of who you are. Understanding the importance of your personal story is to recognize the significance of your voice in the grand symphony of life. Let's get connected.
Good afternoon. I'm Dennis, and I've have a little story to tell you that most of you have interest in sometime in your life. And I thought I would mention it to you, but it's about patents. And a lot of people have a lot of wrong ideas about patents and a lot of questions about patents. So I thought I would mention the kinds there are and what they do and how they produce it and so forth and so on. This started way back in 1958 when I had my first patent. I have 3 patents altogether, and I am working my 4th patent right now. I'm 85 years old. So, don't say you can't do it, because you can do it at any age. There's no age limit to a patent. Okay, well, let's start out with first of all, the most important thing is what kind of patents are there, because there are all kinds of different patents. But the basic is the 4 patents, and the 4 patents are this. One is utility patent. A utility patent means that it's anything other than designing something or planting something or something like that. If you want to make like a car or something like that, that's a utility patent. Something that moves generally. That's the purpose of a utility patent. The second one is a provisional patent. A provisional patent means that you can patent something for up to 1 year. And that's important because if you're not sure of the market, you're not sure of the response, you might not want to put thousands of dollars into a patent. You might want to have just a limit on it. The next one is a design patent. A design patent is things like bottles, pictures or prototypes of something, or a shoe, or whatever, anything in that line is a design patent. Then there's a plant patent. A plant patent refers to genetics, things that are produced from agriculture, horticulture, or agriculture. Those are the main patents that there are. And with that, I'll get into some details of what you can do with these patents. The first thing is that it takes a lot of time to get a patent. Now, with me and all the patents I've had, I was the fastest patents ever produced. Usually, it takes a couple of years, but with mine, it took less than 30 days because there's nothing on the market like it. And that makes it original. And so when a patent office approves and does a search for this item, and there is no such thing, then it goes back to your patent attorney, and the patent attorney will stamp it and get it approved. So mine was less than 30 days was one of them. Another one was less than 2 months. So I want to let you know that. The average patent takes about $8,000 to $15,000. So you got to really think carefully, because most people don't have that kind of money to throw away. And it's important to know that you have to think carefully about what you're doing, because there are patent attorneys out there who will take your money and run. And that's the reason to have a search on the patent attorney itself. There's a Patent Attorney Association. You can contact them. They will give you a rating from A, B, and C. And they'll tell you how good that patent attorney is, according to the years that he's been in business and what he's been doing. So you want to get a referral. Next of all, you have a time limit on your, of course, your provisional patent, you have a 1 year. But you have also, you have 20 years for a patent. 20 years from the date it was filed, not from the date it gets approved. So you got to keep that in mind. So from the date that you file it to the date that it gets approved is different. And then every 3 to 4 years, they will contact you because the patent is not like it used to be where it was 20 years. Now it's cut down to about 3 years, 3.5 years. They will notify you if you want to continue with your patent or not. And there's a renewal service. You have to keep that in mind. So if you do not renew the patent within a limited amount of time, then you will have forfeited your patent to anybody else who wants it on the market. And there are those researchers who are looking for patents and ideas and looking for renewals. And if somebody didn't renew something, then they might take your patent and go ahead and produce it. So that's something you have to think about too. Okay. We are very lucky in Milwaukee because most people are not aware of it. But there are 5 national patent offices across the country. Milwaukee is one of them. And that's on 10th and Wisconsin Avenue, where the library is. And it's on the 2nd floor. There's a whole patent office up there. You can look up any file from any place years ago. So all you need is the name of a person. You might know their patent number. You might know a lot of things about the person, and you can take the file and look that up and find out if they really had a patent or not, and whether it's still ongoing or not, or how many years old it is, and all that kind of information is in the patent office. So it's very valuable information that you should have. And you have to have a lot of patience, because when you do something and you file it, and it has a time that you have to wait, regardless of what you think. The patent office, Mr. Morris is his name, in the patent office in Washington, D.C., he will approve or disapprove of the application. The application, what they do is they look it up in all the filings of that particular category, they call it. If it's like an automobile or if it's a battery or something else, they'll look under the categories and they'll see what categories come close to your patent. And they will then send you the closest patents that there are to your patent. And then you can take some time and decide whether you want to go ahead with it or not, because otherwise it's foolish to spend all that money for nothing for your patent attorneys. So your patent attorney has to wait until you approve the sketches and whatever they send you. Maybe there is nothing, but with my last patent, it had 16 close calls. But it still got approved in less than 3 months because I was right on the nose as to what I was looking for, and it went through. And with that last patent, it scared me because being so close, I mean, there are 16 ideas that came close to mine, but nothing like mine. And that's the difference between the patents. That little bit of difference can make a difference in your patent approval or not. So with me, what I was trying to do is produce electricity for the batteries in electric cars, and I made a device that you can put on top of your car that will run as long as your car is running, it'll run this windmill up there on top of your car, and it'll produce electricity to be restored back into your battery, so that all the time that you're driving, you're getting electricity back into your battery. And that was the original idea. There are others that came close, but not as close as mine. And I've still have that invention, but I'm going to be dropping that because I thought of a better way to have produce energy without using more energy. And I'm now in the process of making a self-contained, what we call perpetual motion machine, which is very close to perpetual motion. And perpetual motion is where you give energy and you're getting no energy in return. But with me, I'm producing electrical currents with getting more electrical current, or at least equal to it. So that's close to perpetual motion. They say the laws of perpetual motion, you cannot produce something and get something free back. But I'm going to disqualify them for that. I don't believe that, and I'm going to prove that they're wrong. So there have been a lot of great professors in the world that have been after that. And once the motion starts, it has to be moving on its own. And that's what I'm producing right now. And that'll produce some electricity for me. So that I just wanted to make sure you know the difference, how close things can be. All right. Now let's see here once. If there's any questions from anybody? You have no questions whatsoever? Okay, I'm not done yet.
I know.
All right. All right. Second phase. Oops. Second phase. Okay, the thing that I'm producing is a what we call a piston-free engine made with compressed air. So what I'm doing is I'm converting energy into a compressor, and that energy is going to be returned into a compressed tank, which will then run a car. So this is something I'm working on now. That should get approved once it's going to be filed. And this system means that I can have a very quiet running car. I have no carbon emissions in the air. I need no fossil fuel of any kind. And anytime that car is running, it'll produce its own energy and it'll never have to stop running. And the cost of that is zero. So in order to run this car, once you buy it, you won't have to put any money back into it other than regular maintenance, like you might need some new tires or some things, obvious things like that. But there's no motor, and there's no radiators, there's no transmissions, there's nothing. There's nothing. It's just self-produced. The engine is self-producing. And I'm hoping that this will get done by, well, I've got about 2 months and it should be running. So I'm hoping that this will be a successful operation. Everybody in this United States is looking for, and they have money available for emission-free products. And I'm going to be one of those. And this is important because everybody who out there thinks that it can't be done, it can be done. And I'm going to show how that can be done. Now, number one, I have a lot of problems with this idea because with my other invention, my third invention with the car and the producing electricity for a battery, nobody was interested in producing it because the politicians don't want anything to be disruptive. As an example, with my new invention, you can get rid of all the filling stations. Well, what does that do to the market? How about the electric batteries? Producing electric batteries, you won't need electric batteries. That's going to be obsolete. All these kinds of things are taking place. And one of the problems we have, the politicians would rather buy my invention and throw it out. And they've done that in 1932. There was a man who invented producing electricity from water and ran an engine across the country. And he disappeared, and so did his invention, because the public, the politicians don't want you to do this because there's too much at stake. What about all the companies that make parts and everything for these motors and everything? How about the people that repair these automobiles and engines and everything? So this is one of the problems I'm up against. I'm going to have protection somehow, and I got to find out if there's a way to do that. I could lose my life because of it, because this is very important. But there's money available for producing a product like this. But everybody's bitching about, getting emission-free this and emission-free that, and, fossil fuel, they want to get rid of it. But yet when something comes up, they really come down to, or they don't want to really do that because it disrupts a lot of people's lives. So I have to be very careful with this. So that's about where I'm going to end up, and I just thought I'd let you know. I hope I didn't talk too long.
No, you're good. I do have a couple questions, though,
Yeah.
that I think the listeners might be wondering. So this most recent invention that you have,
Yeah.
do you have the patent for that yet, or are you working on the patent?
I have the provisional patent.
You have the provisional patent.
So I have a year in order to decide whether I'm going ahead or not.
Okay.
Right.
So right now, your invention is safe from
Yes.
anybody else taking
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right.
Okay.
That's what you want.
That's what you want to do.
Right.
Gosh, thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
All right.
And I hope that everybody understands it's a different road to take, and if you're thinking about it, you better think twice.